What's up, everybody? Welcome in A to Z Sports Live on a Thursday. Got Jack Gentry off the injury list from earlier this week here with me as Zach is still in Dallas working on the Cowboys market. So we're going to have a good show today. Titans Thursday is what we always do, even with a bye week. We're going to keep the Titans Thursday theme rolling. And we've got some good topics and conversations that we will have today. Two key under-the-radar Titans players to help right the ship after this 2-game losing streak. So Jack has a couple. I've got a couple. We'll get your opinions. Which Titans role player has stepped up the most in this injury-riddled Titans season? So that'll be a good conversation as well. Then we'll flip it over to splitting the carries between these running backs. So which Titans running back do you trust the most moving forward until we see what will happen with Derrick Henry in his recovery? So we got a lot of stuff. And then we've got a Bud Dupree conversation that Jack brought to the table this morning that should be interesting. Plus the Magic Bucket. Got the Magic Bucket here live on a Thursday to wrap things up. Jack, welcome in. Hope you've had a rough week. I know that because of your eye injury earlier in the week, but you seem like you're looking better and feeling better.
Yeah, so I was supposed to do the show with you earlier in the week, but I called Austin just to inform you guys, and I told him, hey, like I'm doing my best. I'll do whatever I can to go, but Doc said I had a scratched cornea. So of all injuries, I've been through it this football season too. Knee surgery, couple strep throats, now a scratched cornea, but I've got some eye drops, fought my way back. Now I'm here today and tomorrow. Really excited to do it, talk some Titans. While you guys are filing in, make sure to share the show. So on Twitter, retweet it. On Facebook, share it. YouTube, do what you got to do. We're going to grow this conversation. We're going to have a big conversation about guys that really weren't expected to contribute this season, that have stepped up and have really helped the Titans get to where they are right now at 8-4. Headed into the bye week, there's a lot of injury talk. We've exhausted a bunch of that, but we're going to talk about the guys the Titans have right now today. That's what we're going to focus on. So go ahead while you're coming in, share the show. Sharing is caring. Zach always says it. And let's talk some Titans.
Yep, let's do it officially. Excuse me. Now I'm about to go on the injury list myself with a voice injury, but let's get it going officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports powered by BetMGM. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Jack Gentry in for Zach Bingham on this Thursday. Make sure you follow us all over social media. We're Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, and we go live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, hopefully Twitter again in the somewhat near future if they ever respond to our Twitter support case. But that's a different story. Also, hit us up on Instagram and TikTok. Got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for our show and they help out you guys. Renters Warehouse Nashville, the professional landlords in the area at renterswarehouse.com. Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness, 1 15-minute workout equals 5+ hours in the weight room. Mandu.com. Your first workout is free. Also, Wilson County Hyundai, make them a part of your car buying process by heading to wilsoncountyhyundai.com. And the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. So Jack in for Zach today, who is out in Dallas working on our Dallas market. Zach will be back next Monday, taking advantage of the Cowboys game tonight. And then also the Titans bye week kind of lets that out there. So look, Jared says Jack needs to be the automatic replacement when Zach.
Thank you, Jared.
Look, it's good. That's good. And Orlando says A to Z has used the most reporters in sports talk history. Yeah, it's been a year, right? Because Zach was in Dallas for like a total of 6 weeks so far this fall, and then he got COVID, which had him out another 2 weeks. So yeah, I've been through the co-host cycle here, but it's been fun. I feel like I'm Ryan Tannehill, right? I'm the only staple in A to Z right now on the live morning show, and then Buck being in Egypt. Not being able to do the primetime show has had Luke go over there. So look, we're just showing off and flexing the depth that we have with A to Z Sports, and we're a growing business. So I'm just glad that Jack is feeling better off of a corneal abrasion that he had earlier.
I can keep my eye open, which I mean, really, my eyes aren't important here, but it's good to at least be able to stare at a computer screen for an hour or so.
Yeah. So Jack, as we were planning these topics this morning, we've exhausted a lot of the IR talk and who's going to come back after the bye week. We talked about that earlier when I had Alex Doherty on, our Preds writer, talking about, can Julio come back? What's the timeline for him? You've got Kevin Byard in the COVID list. David Long Jr.'s missed several weeks, but he's not on IR, so he can come back at all, at any point. But this bye week's big for getting help and getting healthy. But under the radar players, when we're approaching this conversation about under the radar players, what's the criteria that you're kind of operating under?
So for under the radar, to me, it's guys that weren't starters heading into the season, weren't expected to contribute much. Obviously, you look at your depth, you like what you see, but these are guys ahead of the season that you're not relying on in big games. They're not going to be taking on critical snaps, but have been kind of forced to over the last few weeks, really over the course of the season, due to these mounting injuries. And I know the Titans are the most injured team in NFL history. They've used 86 different guys on the active roster, which is the most since, I believe, 1993. And you look at the next few teams that are right under that had the record previously. The Dolphins of 19, the Niners of last year. None of these teams did anything, right? They didn't have depth behind them. So the Titans are fortunate enough not only to have depth, but now their depth is gaining experience. It's valuable to have moving into the latter end of the season in the playoffs. But for our two guys, they are guys that were not expected to contribute much early, and definitely weren't starters heading into the season.
Yeah, and you mentioned the Dolphins and the Niners the last 2 years who previously had the record. Those teams were like 5 wins and 6-win teams, right? So, it's interesting to kind of look at how the Titans with 8 wins already have done much better with managing the lack of depth that they have because of injuries. So let's go ahead and dive into it, because I do find this to be an interesting conversation of two under the radar players who can help the Titans get out of this 2-game losing streak. Because look, there are winnable games on the schedule, and it starts with hosting the Jags after the bye week on December 12th in Nissan Stadium. So, all right, Jack, I'll let you begin. Who is your first under the radar player that can be a big help to the Titans after this bye week?
Well, my first guy is a guy who's been contributing throughout the season. Even when Julio and AJ were there, or one of the two, this guy was making plays, showing up where the Titans needed him, and that's Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. I think he's the most obvious one. You're smiling because I'm a big NWI guy.
Obviously, I knew you would go there. I mean, you're a homer. You're an NWI homer. Just because you had him on your podcast.
I love NWI.
There's a man crush there.
But maybe there is. But there's also tons of reasons to really like what he's done. He's third on the team in yards. He scored 3 touchdowns this season. I don't think anybody really thought Nick Westbrook-Ikhine would even find pay dirt one time. But obviously, the White Shoes Johnson Funky Chicken kind of put him on the map. Now, he had 7 catches, 107 yards receiving against the Texans. Tannehill trusts him, which is the most important thing. You've seen in past, Titans wide receivers that come in late. Khalif Raymond is one that's more recent than not. The Tannehill, they don't have much of a rapport. They can't consistently connect. NWI has been the wide receiver 1 for a couple of weeks now. So having depth at the wide receiver position without Marcus Johnson available, and NWI is tall, and that was a big theme heading into the season, right? John Robinson did what he could to bring in tall guys, big targets, with huge catch radiuses, because that's the type of receiver that Ryan Tannehill wants. They drafted Des Fitzpatrick, that didn't work out. So Nick Westbrook-Ikhine has, he's had to climb the ladder, climb the depth chart. He's done it. He's proven that he's reliable. I mean, he shows up on seemingly, late in the fourth quarter every single game on a third down or a gotta-have-it situation, makes a play. Last week, he caught the touchdown, even though he slipped to dive into the end zone.
Yeah.
But he's proven to be really valuable for this team, and not only on special teams, which he can do as well. That's how he, found his way on this roster.
Sure.
But now, in his second season, he's really improved at receiver. And, I think Tannehill trusts him. They've had enough repetitions to really establish a solid connection there, even when those guys come back. So, if something happens in the playoffs like it did last year, Corey Davis gets hurt, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine is going to come in, and Tannehill's going to feel confident in getting him the ball.
I think, you have to give credit for NWI for what he's been able to do and take advantage of his opportunity. Now, 2 catches for 25 yards against the Patriots is not exactly wide receiver 1 numbers, but he had the 2 big catches. One was a touchdown and one was a 24-yard gain. on the flea flicker there on the sideline. You got to give the guy credit because he is big, physical. He blocks. He plays special teams. He's been able to be reliable on third down. And so I agree with you that Tannehill can trust him. And I think the biggest thing that NWI has shown is that with Marcus Johnson on IR, and you expect done for the season for Marcus Johnson.
Yeah.
At some point, Julio and AJ will be back. I think NWI allows you to now snap manage it or, play count Julio and AJ in the regular season before you get to the playoffs. Because the ultimate goal right now for the Titans, as banged up as they are, get to the playoffs and be as healthy as you possibly can be in the playoffs. So I think you need AJ and Julio to help you get to the playoffs, but you really need those guys ready to go and put up big plays like the superstars that they have been in those playoff games. But NWI can be that spell bullpen wide receiver, to help you out where AJ and Julio aren't playing 80% of the snaps in December and early January. So I give you that. That is a good one. So is your next one on offense or defense?
Next one's on defense.
Okay, so I have one on offense and I have one on defense. So I'll go ahead and go with my offensive player under the radar who I think is doing well, can help the Titans moving forward, and then we'll go defense in a second.
Okay.
I'm going to go on offense. I think Aaron Brewer has been really, really solid.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Brewer, because Nate Davis, one, is battling his second concussion of the season, and two, was not exactly playing at the level we expected Nate Davis to be at this season before he's battled with concussions. And so Nate Davis is in his third year out of Charlotte on a rookie contract. I think, next year, he was trending to need a contract this upcoming offseason.
He struggled last year.
But
this season.
He's not there anymore. I think Aaron Brewer, what are Aaron Brewer and NWI have in common? Undrafted second-year guys who have really carved out a nice role for this team. And so Aaron Brewer as the right guard or rotational interior offensive lineman, I think is really important for this offense because Aaron Brewer played a great game against New England. And if he can build on that and help the Titans run game stay sustainable, help the Titans protect and keep Ryan Tannehill upright, I think Aaron Brewer is the perfect under the radar guy who can help the Titans in the last stretch of the season.
Yeah, I'm with you. The offensive line has been an issue for the Titans, since week 1 when Chandler Jones had 5 sacks. It's just they can't get those same 5 guys healthy, for consecutive games this season. It's been a real problem. But you're right, Aaron Brewer has stepped up. My second guy I'm going with under the radar. This is fringe under the radar because he's really been playing well and he's kind of overtaken Rashaan Evans. I want to go David Long. Will you accept David Long?
That's hard, man, because it's tough.
It's not David
Long. Does David Long count as under the radar? Because David Long is so important to this team.
Yeah.
Alex and I talked about this on Tuesday. He's very important on this team. Christian Fulton is not under the radar either, as Adam brings him up in the chat. But again, really none of the top 3 inside linebackers, I don't consider any of them under the radar.
Okay, that's fine. Well, then I have another guy anyways. Naquan Jones has been impressive to me. He's a UDFA, a rookie UDFA, and they didn't really do much at the defensive tackle position. Murchison's on IR. He's been unavailable. But, Tierre Tart's been in and out. He's dealing with something right now, I believe. But Naquan Jones has had a sack and a half this season, and those came in 2 of the last 3 games. He's getting better by the week. There's depth behind Big Jeff Simmons and Danico Autry, in the interior defensive line. Mm-hmm. He can help. He can give them a breather, take a little load off of them. You can trust him, in run stopping as well as getting to the quarterback. He wears that number 90, and it's still so funny to me because Daquan Jones also wore 90, played the same position. Titans go out and find a guy after Daquan Jones leaves to go to Carolina by the name of Naquan Jones. He stepped up big. I really like what I see out of him, and as the weeks go on, you're noticing him more and more. I think Naquan Jones is a big piece to have, even if it's just rotationally, for the rest of the season. I know everybody's tired, everybody's dealing with injuries. That has to be the case for Jeff Simmons and Danico Autry. Now, not at the same level as these other guys who are on IR, but to have Naquan Jones is a luxury that I don't think the Titans expected to have.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And so, all right, I see some really good comments from Titans, Kyle, Max, Travis. There's some other guys, Jarrell bringing up some good players, and Wilbur as well with the question. So I'm going to get to your comments here in a second, but we also want to ask you guys this question: which Titans role player has stepped up the most in this injury-riddled season? And I've got my defensive under-the-radar player who I think can help the Titans out of this 2-game losing streak. But real quick, let me tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute. We talk about injuries all season long. And the Bone and Joint Institute is where you need to go to trust for your recovery. If you get hurt in life, make sure you know who to go to, know who to trust. That's the dozen doctors plus at the Bone and Joint Institute who specialize in any type of joint injury you can have. So get back healthy. Know where to go. Their rehab facility is also state-of-the-art there in Franklin, boneandjointtn.org.
BetMGM, guys, if you do not have a sports book, if you don't have a book to bet through, or if you do and you don't like it, BetMGM is the cream of the crop. They have a special deal going on for new users. So if you don't have BetMGM, download it. Use the promo code A to Z 200 and a $10 money line wager. So you can either bet on the Cowboys or the Saints for tonight. A $10 money line wager pays out $200 if either team scores a touchdown. The Saints and the Cowboys, I think there's going to be a handful of scores in this one, although the Saints do have a good defense, and the Cowboys are without Mike McCarthy. But either way, use promo code A to Z 200, wager $10 on a money line on either one of those teams, the Saints or the Cowboys, and if either team scores a touchdown, you'll win $200. This is for new users only. Make sure to download it and use that promo code A to Z 200. Let's make some money tonight.
All right, here live on a Titans Thursday. We're talking about under the radar Titans can help them out of this 2-game losing streak. Jack, you went with NWI and Naquan Jones.
Yes.
My first one was Aaron Brewer. My second one is Elijah Molden, and I was trying to figure out if I wanted to go Ola Daney or Elijah Molden.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Elijah Molden's a good fit here because he's a rookie who was not the starter at nickel to start the season. Chris Jackson has played some good games. Chris Jackson has played some bad games. Chris Jackson got hurt, and now he's on IR, and it's up to Elijah Molden. And with Jackrabbit Jenkins being out for we don't know how long with the ankle injury that he got against the Patriots, I think Elijah Molden is going to be that much more stressed to play a bigger role with the Titans defense. And I really like how he plays the game. He plays the game like a savvy vet. He's got those instincts and that natural just knowing where to be and how to get around the football about him. He makes a lot of good plays. Now, he's not a burner. He's not a man-to-man cover guy who can run deep down the seam with a slot receiver, but he's a really savvy player, got good instincts. I think Elijah Molden can make some key plays for this defense down the stretch.
Yeah, he's going to have to with Janoris Jenkins out, and it was big for Jackrabbit to avoid IR, so he's not going to miss the 3 games that you must if you're placed on IR. But he may be down for Jacksonville after the bye, and that's going to be a big week for Elijah Molden. Now, thank God it's Jacksonville and it's not New England like it was this past week. But I think Elijah Molden is finding a rhythm. Earlier in the season, he struggled really kind of in the first 4 games. Just didn't look like he was ready, and that's fine. He's a rookie. Wasn't expected to do a ton this season, but now he's in a position where he's going to have to. Elijah Molden will have to be a key contributor, and the Titans have struggled in the takeaway department. Can Elijah Molden get his hands on a football? What can he do with it? It's going to be a big question, and I think it's perfect to give him important reps on the outside against some of these teams later in the season. We're going to see what we have. I don't know
if they're going to do that. I don't know if they're going to put him on the outside.
Maybe they keep him inside. But
they probably will just because Chris Jackson's also on IR. So back to the comment section. Travis says, when does Bud come back? The pass rusher has been suspect without the top guys. We're actually, Jack has some stats for Bud Dupree later on in the show that we're going to talk about. But here's just kind of a rundown of the timeline of these guys when they can come back from IR. Julio and Dane Cruikshank can come back versus the Jags. Doesn't mean they will, but they're eligible to. Bud Dupree can come back versus the Steelers. AJ and Chris Jackson versus the Niners. Henry, this is just West on Broadway, guessing the wild card playoff week. McMath and Ficken, we have no idea. then McNichols, Maben, David Long, Evans, Nate Davis, Adaney, Tart, Rice, Hudson. Those guys are all not on IR and can come back whenever the staff feels that they can. So, with a couple of the comments, Titans Kyle says on defense, he has shown up in big moments and in special teams. And then I did see a couple other comments bringing up Ola Adaney. Ola Adaney was kind of my runner-up for this just because he does help so much in special teams. Because what happened on Sunday against New England, where the Titans started each half with a massive special teams penalty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The holding on the opening
frustrating.
kickoff, the holding on the opening kickoff return that had the Titans start at their own 11-yard line, and then the face mask on Matthias Farley on the second half kickoff return that put the Patriots that much closer to points on their opening drive.
And it was a good kickoff return even without the face mask penalty.
Yes. So it was like double bad. And Andrew brings up, and Monty Rice is now on IR.
They're banged up at linebacker.
Yeah, so Monty Rice has to be out for at least Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, and San Francisco. He can come back at the earliest. He can come back against Miami on January 2nd. Now, Cody says, fire the strength and conditioning coach. For what? For what, Cody? Like, whenever somebody brings this up, what is the evidence that you have, Cody, that means the strength and conditioning coach needs to be fired?
I think what he's pointing to is the 86 guys that they've used on the active roster and the nearly 50 guys they've started this season. Now, I don't know how much of that's on the strength and conditioning coach. It's the longer season with an interesting offseason. Now, one is messed up as the year prior, but these soft tissue injuries that we see the Titans keep having, these hamstrings. But a bunch of these guys, I mean, it's ankles, concussions. I mean, it's the normal stuff.
AJ Brown got hit in the shoulder, and now his chest he's out with a chest injury.
It's football. You cannot play football without injuries. There's a 0% chance that no injuries happen throughout the course of the football season. I mean, injuries are a guarantee in football. It's just unfortunate how many of them have happened to the Titans and at such important positions for the Titans. Let's not forget the Titans have used 86 guys this year. Last year, they used 74 guys. I mean, that's a ton in itself. It's not record setting, but to use 74 different guys on the active roster last season, that's a ton too. It's just the way the game's being played now.
Yeah. And the Titans are a physical football team.
Yeah.
And I think Ken says, I imagine if they all had hamstring injuries, they would consider firing the strength coach.
And Ken's right. It's very spread out. It's not one specific problem. It's not just soft tissue.
There are a bunch of hamstrings. And the Titans have had hamstring injuries for years. This is Frank Perino is the strength coach. This is his third year with the team. The Titans have had hamstring injuries dating all the way back to Steve Watterson, and Steve Watterson was considered one of the best strength coaches in the NFL. Hamstrings, it's just a very fragile situation. Now, if you want to have a smart conversation about it, you can talk about the NFL rules and what they don't do in the offseason and how maybe them working out 12 months a year and not doing contact and how all that can lead to more soft tissue injuries. I don't know. We can maybe have a productive conversation there, but I don't think the strength coach and conditioning coach is at fault for the Titans being the most injured football team in history.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a deeper conversation than just, guys are injured, fire who's ever in charge. I mean, it's the NFL. The Titans, like you mentioned, they play a physical brand of football. I don't know if that's the right answer. I'm not in the mood to really call for the strength and conditioning guy's job. Just based off these injuries. I think Derrick
Henry breaks his foot. Nate Davis
Jones fracture, a very fluky break in your foot as well.
Right. And there's been a couple ACLs with Cam Batson and Caleb Farley in the same game. Like, those things just happen.
Mm-hmm.
In guys, I was actually talking to somebody about this. Like, women are more prone to tearing their ACL because
that's right.
Their quads are not as strong as their hamstrings, and guys are less likely to tear their ACL because they have stronger quads. And so it's and stronger hamstrings. So you don't know, it's just, that's just how it's happened. So you can't just bitch and moan at fire the strength coach. And I did want to bring up, I think Rich commented it about what Mike Vrabel said in response to Luke's question earlier this week. Vrabel nailed it the other day. It's unfortunate, but he never got hurt and went, damn that strength coach, right? It's not the strength coach's problem, or like, damn, I wish they made me run more sprints in the summer or I wouldn't be hurt. That's not how that works.
No,
that's not how that works.
No, you're exactly right. It's much deeper. It's a bigger conversation than that. You're correct.
And Travis says the ACLs were because of the Colts field and Henry's foot. Well, how can the ACLs be the Colts field's problem when they happen in Nissan Stadium against the Buffalo Bills, Travis? How does that happen? Tell me how that happened.
I love you, and I'm with the Lucas Oil stinks. That turf stinks up there, but it's not just the Colts field.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our next one. What do you say?
Sorry, my bad. We got sidetracked. For sure there. Okay, next conversation. Which of these Titans running backs do you trust the most moving forward? I find this pretty fascinating too. Which of these Titans running backs do you trust the most moving forward? We've got 3 of them that we're going to talk about here, but real quick, let me tell you guys about how you can increase your personal wealth and family wealth by using Renters Warehouse and renterswarehouse.com. Again, there's so many different ways that Renters Warehouse can be for you, whether it's not selling your home when you're moving. Maybe you're getting married and you each have your own house and you don't only need one house. Well, don't just sell that house. You can rent it out and keep that cash flow going, create that extra cash flow and build that long-term equity and also get retirement plan ready. And you let the pros do it, not you. You don't have to be a landlord. Being a landlord sounds like a miserable time. But if you let Renters Warehouse be the landlords for you, all you do is get the money. And all you do is build the equity, the long-term wealth with Renters Warehouse and being a rent estate owner with renterswarehouse.com.
Gamblers, who likes to gamble in here? I know it's not just me or you, Austin. I know you're into it as well. New users, if you need an app to use, if you want to start gambling, or if you don't like your old app, want to upgrade, download the BetMGM app. And when you do download it, there's a special deal going on for new users specifically. You use promo code A to Z 200, and in tonight's Thursday night game between the Saints and the Cowboys, if you place a $10 money line wager, if you bet $10 on the money line on the Saints or the Cowboys, you'll win $200 if either team scores a touchdown. Not just the team you bet on, because with Taysom Hill starting, who knows what could happen for the Saints. But if either team scores a touchdown tonight, you win $200. You got to use promo code A to Z, ATOZ, 200 to cash in. Download the BetMGM app as soon as the show's over. Let's make some money.
All right, let's get to this conversation because I find this interesting, and a lot of you guys are cheating by answering multiple running backs.
They trust them all.
Yeah. The question is, which Titans running back do you trust most moving forward? Foreman, Hilliard, McNichols. Which Titans running back do you trust most moving forward? Zane says Hilliard for sure. Steven says Hilliard. We got a run on Foreman's with Scott, Preston, and Brock. Hilliard and Robert says number 40, which is Dontrell Hilliard. Brandon says Hilliard over Foreman, but still can play them both.
Yeah, they're
Steven says Hilliard has looked the best. Alex says Foreman. Zane says Hilliard brings a different style. Orlando says Hilliard is his answer, but Foreman's up there. Mark says Hilliard. Wilbur says Hilliard and McNichols.
I'm surprised. Really not many McNichols guys in the chat.
Well, it's because he hasn't played in like 3 weeks.
He's concussed. Yes, I know.
Yes. Jerome says Foreman is more consistent in the actual running game. Derek says he's personally a fan of Deontay Foreman. Jarrell says Foreman, but McNichols is a strong second. Jack, what's your answer here? Because there's a lot of, there's literally everybody. There's a lot of
you could go a few different ways. Now, it's important to know the question. Which one do you trust the most? I believe that Dontrell Hilliard is the most valuable, right? He contributes on special teams, but I don't trust him the most. To me, I trust Deontay Foreman. He's had the most touches out of all 3 in his career. He spent time in the with the Texans. Now, granted, it was a few years ago where he was the lead back for just about half of a season. Now, he's shown that he can do it with the Titans this year. He's averaging 4.6 yards a carry. He's put up some flashy runs, and the problem with what he's had to do is he hasn't been able to get in a rhythm. Right? They're not giving him the ball 15 times a game. It's They're mixing in Hilliard. They were mixing in AP. McNichols is obviously there as well. But to me, I trust Foreman over Hilliard, and it really became clear to me in that Patriots game. Hilliard went, bust through the line between the tackles. He had two hands on the football. I forget which Patriot it was. He put one hand in there, ripped it out.
Right.
That can't happen at the NFL level. You have two hands on the football. You got to protect that thing, especially in a game against the Patriots. Now, Deontay Foreman also fumbled, but his was more of a chase down strip than it was, two hands on the ball, pick up 6, fall down. His was on a 30-yard run where somebody caught him from behind, poked that ball out, and the Patriots were fortunate enough to recover before it went out of bounds. It's the way – it's not that they fumbled. It's the way that they fumbled to me. That's why I trust Deontay Foreman. I think he's bigger. He's stronger. He runs – he's like a Dollar General Derrick Henry, right? There's some similarities. He threw a stiff arm a couple weeks ago that made me say, "Oh, wow." Maybe he's
there's similarity in style, right? Like
yes, yeah. But to me, in which one I trust the most, it's got to be Deontay Foreman. I think McNichols would be my second, just because I think the Titans have a stronger idea on how to utilize him than they do Hilliard. It seemed a couple weeks ago that Hilliard was going to be used mostly in the passing game. Then he takes the brunt of the carries against the Patriots. To me, it's Deontay Foreman, then Jeremy McNichols, then Dontrell Hilliard.
Okay. MB says no fumble is better than the other. And Alex says a fumble is a fumble. And Andrew says a fumble is a fumble.
Yes, it is. But I mean, the way that you fumble in the NFL, I think that was telling to me. I mean, you can't – there's going to be – if you're going to be a running back for the Titans, you got to go north and south and you got to hold on to the football. And I get it. It was a one-time thing, and they both bounced back. Hilliard had the 68-yard touchdown run after. Deontay Foreman got back on track after he fumbled as well. So that was strong to see, and I do trust them. I don't have trust issues with any of them. But to me, the ones I trust the most, Deontay Foreman. It has to be the leader of the pack for me.
And Lee says, Jaxie, that's why he chose Hilliard, because he has the breakaway speed. Now, breakaway speed's not everything. It's nice to see it because there was a couple of plays that Foreman has made where he got caught where Henry probably would have scored. That 30-yard run, Henry scores.
Yes.
The screen pass against the Texans that led to a field goal, Henry scores that touchdown. Maybe that was the Saints. Yeah, Saints game, the 39-yard screen. Mm-hmm. But I think, who do I trust more? Because I like all three. Like I really do.
I also want to make that clear. I trust them all.
Well, I like them all. I think they all bring something different, right? Hilliard is probably the best dual threat, running and receiving.
Over McNichols, you believe?
Yeah, I think McNichols is more receiving than running. Okay. And I think Foreman is more running than receiving. But Hilliard can do it all. But when I'm looking at trust, who do I trust in turnovers and pass protection? That's where trust is relied on with a running back. So I trust Jeremy McNichols. The Titans obviously trust Jeremy McNichols. The only reason Dontrell Hilliard is here in Nashville is because McNichols was hurt and it was out with a concussion. The only reason why. So I think I trust McNichols because he can make plays in the passing game, and more importantly, he and Ryan Tannehill can help each other out with that pass protection. And so that's where I go with. And I just don't know enough. I don't have enough information. I don't have enough data and games watched of Hilliard and Foreman helping out in pass protection.
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with small sample sizes across the board here, aren't you?
Totally. Yeah.
So you kind of got to go on what you've seen so far.
But who's stuck around for the last 2 years plus with the Titans organization?
Exactly. It's clear who the Titans trust the most.
McNichols. He was the one in camp. He was the one who made the roster out of camp. He's the one who's still here, where Foreman was here last year for a hot second, and then they cut him. And then he wasn't here all offseason, and then they brought him back in when they needed him.
Here's a point about the Titans backfield. I don't think that either of these three work by themselves, right? They're complementary of each other. Totally. And they can play off each other. Going Derrick Henry mode and giving one guy 25 touches a game doesn't work with any of these guys. You got to have Hilliard and McNichols to set up the run, or you got to have a speedy run from Hilliard down the field that breaks the defense, and then put Deontay Foreman in to break their will, or set up a screen with Jeremy McNichols, find him in the pass game. They all work off of each other, which is great. Here's the key point. With depth and with the guys that they've used so far, you hope to find guys that when everyone gets back healthy, you hope to have found a couple, 2, 3, 4 guys that can contribute, in the playoffs. When you have a 53, everybody's healthy. You hope in these few weeks when you've had to deal without these key players that you've found a couple guys that will be able to contribute in the wild card round of the playoffs, if that's where the Titans end up, or, late in the season, maybe working to get that 1 seed. I know that it's going to be an uphill battle, but you hope to find a few guys that you can rely on as the season, moves closer to the playoffs.
Yeah, totally. A couple comments to jump in here too. Let's see, where'd the one go? Alex says, why did the Titans run every play on one drive just to throw it twice in the red zone, just to throw an interception? Or throw a fumble, as he put it. Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know. Todd Downing's situational play calling in the red zone has made me scratch my head several times this year, and that was one of them, because you ran down the Patriots' throat to get to the 5-yard line, and then you ran down to the 2, and you ran down to the 1, but you threw it a couple times and into some traffic situations there too. And then Rich says, do you think the Titans start incorporating some 2-back packages with those guys? They did against New England, Jack. I don't know if you caught on to that, but they had Hilliard and Foreman in flanking Tannehill at the same time. There was a couple times where they would play action to one and threw to the other in the flat. I think they play action faked to Foreman and threw to Hilliard in the flats. It was one short yard situation where they had Dontrell Hilliard line up like a fullback, did like a quick fullback dive and faked like an outside run to Foreman. So I think Todd Downing had a good game against New England, except that red zone sequence where I was like, why? Just keep going. Just keep run it 4 times. And if they stop you, they stop you. But it was, but I think overall, like, you saw some creativity with a lesser than offensive personnel.
Yeah, and Todd Downing's not the one that's fumbling the ball. He can call a great game. You've put the ball on the ground twice against the Patriots, throw an interception on 4th and goal from the 2, and boom. I mean, the Patriots aren't going to let you back in. They'll field goal you to death. That's what they've been doing to everybody all year. They did that to the Titans again this past week. So, Todd Downing's having to figure out what to do without Derrick Henry inside that red zone, and it's been a struggle. I do think with more time, he'll figure it out, and, inserting these different pieces, figuring out how to use them and maybe window dress a little to distract the defense or catch them off guard, will hopefully improve. We talk about players being able to step up as the playoffs come closer. Downing's figuring some things out as well. This is not just the players. The coaching staff's also finding, new things about themselves every day with every passing game.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. So I already had one bad comment derail. Should I allow a second bad comment to derail, or should we just skip it and move on?
Let's give it a shot. I want to give it a shot. Let the people. Okay. This is a show for the people.
Yeah, because this is people on YouTube can't see the comments on Facebook and vice versa, right? But we can see them all. Awaken to the eternal.com. I might look to put Woodside in, possibly as a 3rd down or situational quarterback.
Oh, no. Awaken. What are we doing?
I don't even know why. What
the hell did you put in your coffee this morning?
I don't know. I don't know how to do that.
Oh, my God. I hope that guy's not driving to work.
And then he follows it up with, the Titans need someone who is more pass-friendly outside of play action. I don't even know what that means. Like, do you think Logan Woodside's more pass-friendly than Ryan Tannehill? Good.
I didn't expect to be talking about Logan Woodside. I know it's been bad lately with Tannehill, but it hasn't been that bad. It will never be that bad.
I literally just got a headache. It's like when I don't know if you saw this, Jack, because you couldn't see a couple days ago, but I got hit with a notes app from Timmy. Our guy Timmy Sama hit me with a notes app tweet about why my takes were so trash on Monday. And I was like,
a lot of reading.
I couldn't even read it because the grammatical errors were so brutal. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I started reading it like 4 times and I had to stop every time. Anyway. All right, Jack, you have some stats about Bud Dupree that I think are pretty fascinating. So we'll get to that. But real quick, let me tell you guys about Wilson County Hyundai and WilsonCountyHyundai.com. They are the professional landlords in the Nashville area. Simply head to Wilson County Hyundai. What am I talking about? I'm like, now I see my headache has now made me mess up my live reads. Wilson County Hyundai. They're not the professional landlords. They are where to go to make your car buying process easier. WilsonCountyHyundai.com in Lebanon. So check them out. Make Pain Bone a part of your car buying process and trust them because it's a tough time to buy a car. So you got to go somewhere where you're not expecting to get swindled and bamboozled. So there you go. WilsonCountyHyundai.com in Lebanon. Go check them out right there. WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
BetMGM, the king of sportsbook. Guys, there's a Thursday night football game going on tonight. I'm excited. It's the Saints and the Cowboys. It's going to be weird. But if you're a new user, if you want to start gambling, if you don't have an app, if you don't like your old one, download the BetMGM app. And if you use promo code A to Z 200, that's ATOZ 200, and you place a $10 moneyline wager on either the Saints or the Cowboys tonight, you'll win $200. $200 off $10 if either team scores a touchdown. It's so simple. It's free money. It's a free $200. All you have to do is download the BetMGM app, make your account, use promo code A to Z 200, and you'll, by placing a $10 moneyline wager on either the Saints or the Cowboys, you'll win $200 if either team scores a touchdown. It is free money. They want you to win. They are letting you win this bet. There will be a touchdown. Guarantee it. You download download BetMGM app today and use the promo code A to Z 200 to cash in on some free money.
Yep. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. You must be 21 years or older and present in Tennessee. And for gambling problem support, call Tennessee Redline at 1-800-889-9789. All right, Jack, hit us with the Bud Dupree stats that really show how valuable this guy has been to the Titans, even though it might not show up in his own stats.
So Will Lomas put this out. Will Lomas is half of the No Nonsense pod with our buddy Luke Worsham. He said the Titans defense with Bud Dupree. In the 7 games where Dupree was available, the Titans defense had 22 sacks, 7 interceptions. That's an average of 3 sacks a game and an interception a game. So big time moves for the Titans defense. I mean, they're top 10 defense when Bud Dupree's in there. That's been proven. Without Dupree, they've really struggled to get to the quarterback. And by struggling to get to the quarterback, he's more comfortable. He has more time to throw, more time for his receivers to get open. 5 games without Bud Dupree, the Titans have just 7 sacks and 2 picks. That's less than a sack and a half per game and less than a half of an interception per game. So without Bud Dupree, the Titans defense is really struggling. And in the last 3 games, it's really been no difference. Against New England, you had the 2 sacks, but you lose the turnover battle. You don't get any takeaways. You've got to win in the NFL. You have to win the turnover battle. Titans turn it over 4 times, create 0 takeaways. That's a game you're going to lose 100 times out of 100. Mm-hmm. Against the Texans, the measly Houston Texans, the team that everybody likes to make fun of, the Titans had 0 sacks, 0 takeaways. Unacceptable. And they turned the ball over 5 times themselves. So Ryan Tannehill and this offense is shooting themselves in the foot while this defense is, number 1, not getting to the quarterback, and number 2, not forcing any turnovers. And we talk about this all the time, how the pass rush and the secondary go hand in hand. It's a symbiotic relationship. If the pass rush is getting to the quarterback, he's less comfortable, has less time to throw, maybe doesn't get to go through all of his options. That creates questionable decisions or bad throws that the defense can take advantage of and create interceptions. We've seen Kevin Byard do it a handful of times this year. It's vice versa as well, right? The secondary, if they're locking up their guys, more time for the pass rush to get to the quarterback, the sacks will add up. Without Bud Dupree, it hasn't happened. And even against the Saints, when the Titans forced 1 takeaway against the Saints, it was Dylan Cole screaming down the field on a kickoff return to force a fumble. It wasn't anything the defense did. So the last game where they've really created turnovers was that Rams game on Sunday night where they made Matthew Stafford look mortal, which they may have broke Matthew Stafford.
They made Matthew Stafford look like Jared Goff. That was my favorite way to put it. And
that is a good way to put it. But
Bud Dupree, Jack, has been what we all hyped up Jadeveon Clowney to be.
Yeah.
Jadeveon Clowney was never going to be, the double-digit sack guy. But he was the guy who doesn't get a lot of sacks. But, man, look how much better he makes his teammates. That's Bud Dupree. Now, last year in Pittsburgh, before he blew his knee out, he was close to that double-digit sack guy. And this year, obviously, the knee has been bothering him. That's why he's back on IR, or he is on IR for the first time, and missed games earlier in the season. And, Bud's a massive, massive part of this defense. And I even pointed back to that Seattle Seahawks game, like the reason why the Titans were able to get back in that game down 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter is because Bud Dupree made a play on Russell Wilson to get him to throw the ball away on 3rd down to force a punt that led to the Derrick Henry big 60-plus yard touchdown run. Like, so nothing shows up in Bud Dupree's stat column with that play, but he helps his team win games. And so he's been out he's missed a lot of games, and you can really feel the difference when he's not in there.
And I'm excited because he's eligible to come off IR. I believe it's going to be week 15 against the Steelers. So it'll be a coming home for him, a revenge game scenario. But this defense just can't get to the quarterback without Bud Dupree. And the whole thing with Clowney was, okay, he may not be getting to the quarterback, but he's, causing double teams. He's creating pressure. It's the almost sacks that add up, right? That was the big thing with Clowney. Bud Dupree, you've actually seen. I mean, he wrecked Carson Wentz in that Colts game where the Titans ended up winning in overtime. He really was a big part of Carson Wentz throwing that pick to Elijah Molden. Elijah Molden, even after the game, said, Bud made the play. I just caught the ball and took it into the end zone. So Bud Dupree, he's making a difference, and it's clear in the splits with him on and with him off the field. I mean, for the Titans to be averaging over 3 sacks a game with Bud Dupree out there and less than half of that with him injured or off the field, I mean, the proof is in the pudding, and Bud Dupree is clearly missed by this Titans pass rush. Harold Landry can do it on one side. We've even seen Harold Landry. He was having a Pro Bowl. He's really having an all-pro caliber season with Bud Dupree in there, and his production's fallen off a bit. I just think it's because, offensive lines and just offenses in general can game plan on, if you contain Harold Landry, you should be okay because they don't have anybody on the other side of the ball, or they don't have anybody on the other side of the line, I should say, that they can get to the quarterback and cause problems like Bud Dupree is capable of.
Especially with Oladani out, right? Yeah. Too. And those 2 Steelers that came over in the offseason have been really nice additions. But both of them, like everybody, they've been banged up. And the team takes a hit when they're not out there, whether it's Ola on special teams or defense, and Bud Dupree getting after helping getting after the quarterback and making the tickle monsters what they were. Because that the height of that tickle monster stuff was when Bud Dupree, Harold Landry, Jeff Simmons, and Danico Autry were just dominating lines and quarterbacks and really putting the Titans defense on the map. Yeah,
man, that tickle monster era, that was pretty short-lived, wasn't it?
Didn't it feel like forever ago?
Yeah, it did. And everybody hated it. You either hated it or loved it. There was no in between. I personally was in between. But
you were in between? I can't.
Well, so I didn't have a problem with it, but I didn't necessarily love the name. I mean, obviously, it's not a very intimidating name, but it's not something to get riled up about either. I'm smarter than that. Maybe not that much smarter, but a little smarter.
Roy says Autry is playing better than all of them. Stop with Dupree, who hardly plays. Roy, have you just been not listening to what we've been talking about? Bud Dupree makes everybody else better. Bud Dupree has played well, but he's been injured. And look, the one thing that I said back in free agency is why I would not sign Bud Dupree is because the Titans needed somebody to help them this season. And the ACL, it's a risk, and it's a risk signing Bud Dupree. When he's out there, he's good, but he hasn't been out there a lot. So I don't hate on Bud Dupree there, Roy. He's dealing with an ACL injury, and he's still I think he tore his ACL a year ago today. I want to say it was December 2nd.
And they really mismanaged the whole situation with bringing him back, right? Because they brought him back and he didn't respond very well, caused him to miss some time early in the season. Now he's dealing with other issues. And a healthy Bud Dupree is good for this Titans defense. I think a healthy Bud Dupree significantly outplays a healthy Jadeveon Clowney. We saw Jadeveon Clowney just last week have roughing the passers, whiff on sacks against Lamar Jackson. Bud Dupree's a significant upgrade, and that's the thing with John Robinson is he's not afraid to take a risk. Now, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Bringing in or drafting guys that have injury issues. Jeffrey Simmons a few years ago. Now you sign Bud Dupree this year. You draft Caleb Farley. A couple of those have been iffy, but Bud Dupree, when he's in there, I mean, the Titans. Listen, I'll read these numbers one more time. With Bud Dupree available on the Titans defense, he's been available 7 games. They have 7 interceptions. So that's for you mathematicians at home, a pick a game when Bud Dupree's there, and 3.1 sacks per game. 3.1 sacks per game. 7 games, 22 sacks, 7 picks. I mean, he's a difference maker when he's out there, and it shows in the stats.
Roy says he's not hating. So he's not hating on Dupree. Just say, let's give some credit to the players who are out there every game. Well, I mean,
Well, the guys who are out there every game aren't doing anything right now on the defense, in the pass rush especially.
There are 13 guys who have played every game for the Titans. That's it. 13.
That's not a big number.
Ryan Tannehill, David Questenberry, I think Ben Jones on offense. I think that's it on offense.
Yeah.
I guess NWI has played every game. Is that right?
I think he even missed the game. I believe he's missed the game as well.
Kevin Byard. I mean, they're literally only 13 guys who have played in every game. Like the long snapper, Morgan Cox, he's played in every game.
Shout out Morgan Cox, by the way.
I mean, seriously, like
NWI has played every game. You're right.
Yeah. So there's literally only 13 dudes who have done it. So it's pretty Jeffrey Simmons and Harold Landry, right?
It's a short list, and that's not the plan. The problem is you want all of these guys back towards the end of the season, but you also want them in game shape, ready to contribute for 60 minutes. You want them to not have to ease their way back in. You want them to be able to just come back and dominate like they were. But I mean, in the NFL, that's not very realistic. They need a couple games to get back in their rhythm. This is with Julio Jones, AJ Brown as well, and even Derrick Henry if he's available to return. It's not going to happen the first game he's back. Right. It's going to take a little while. That's just the NFL that's adjusting back to the game speed and really the difficulty of football at the NFL level. I mean, these guys need time to get used to that, get back in a rhythm, and hopefully they'll be able to return sooner rather than later so they can do that.
Yep. A to Z Sports, you're live on this Thursday. We always end Thursday with the Magic Bucket. So I feel like it's been a while since even I've done the Magic Bucket, but I guess it was just last week. But Magic Bucket Thursday here on the show. But real quick, let me tell you guys about Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness, where one 15-minute workout equals 5 or more hours in the weight room because of full body electronic muscle stimulation. Mandu is real, guys. Go check it out. And it's the right time to do it because it's December. Your social schedules get busy. You start eating a lot of food, start drinking a lot of booze, and your workout suffers. Well, save time and be more efficient with your workout by using Mandu. Mandu.com. Again, full body electronic muscle stimulation. You're getting every muscle group action in 15 minutes, but you're also not putting that stress on your joints and your banged up injuries from the past. Mandu.com, your first workout's free. And if you tell them A to Z Sports sent you, they'll take $100 off your first month when you sign up right there at Mandu.com.
I feel personally targeted after your Thanksgiving speech about not being in workout shape. I do. But anyways, I got to move on.
That's me. I mean, I fell off the wagon a little bit. Luckily, I did not miss a Mandu workout, so that's helped me stay kind of neutral.
Okay. Well, that's good for you.
Yeah, good for me.
New users, download the BetMGM app today. Use promo code A2Z200, ATOZ200. Put a $10 money line wager on either the Saints or the Cowboys in tonight's Thursday night football game. And if either team scores a touchdown, you will win $200. That's $200 for doing absolutely nothing. Well, all you have to do is place that $10 money line wager on either the Saints or the Cowboys. Either team finds the end zone. If either team does it, you win $200. It's free money. Take advantage. Download the BetMGM app today. Use promo code A2Z200 to cash in on this glorious offer.
Yeah, I just got a free bet. I literally just looked down and got a notification, and I got a free bet from BetMGM. I don't know why. I didn't do anything to deserve it, but they just gave me.
Being on the BetMGM app at 9 a.m. is a dangerous game to play, Austin. Give it a little time.
Like they just sent me a notification. You have a mobile free bet. I'm like, oh, cool.
Maybe they're watching the show.
I mean, they do watch the show, so maybe they are. I don't know, but it was great timing. So I appreciate that free bet for no reason. BetMGM. Okay, it is time for the Magic Bucket. Jack, are you ready?
Oh, I can't. Are you ever ready for the Magic Bucket? No. Can you be ready? Is there a way?
No, but let's do it anyway.
All
right, I got the bucket here. So do you want to go first or do you want me to pull for you first?
Let's rip the Band-Aid off. Let me go first.
All right. Okay, there's a lot of tangling going on with these things these days. Okay, so let's see what Jack has to do.
Oh, Lordy.
Ah, well, you are on tomorrow's show. So that's
yeah. Uh-oh.
Good. Wear a turtleneck on tomorrow's show.
I don't have a turtleneck.
Well,
I'll find one. I'll have to find one. I guess it's.
I had to do this, and I did not. I bought a turtleneck, and I actually like the turtleneck that I bought.
Really, I just can never see myself wearing a turtleneck. But I mean, I have to tomorrow, so I'll have to find one. I think I can do it.
I mean,
I think I may just like it.
I mean, I kind of dug it. Like, I thought it was like, I wish I wore a chain with my turtleneck.
Okay.
But I didn't. But I
A
don't have
chain and a turtleneck. Okay.
But I kind of like the turtleneck look. So that's your homework. You just got to find the turtleneck. I don't know where you're going to find one.
I'll find one. I've got a guy. I've got a turtleneck guy.
Okay. That's good. I'm glad you got a turtleneck guy. Let me know. I might need to holler at him. God. Bobby asked, did Austin send any of his gifts yet? Yes, I did. I did gift Luke something. What did I get him? What did I get Luke the second time? Oh, I got him a. Huh?
You had to give Luke a gift?
Yeah, one of the things in the Magic Bucket is that if you pull it, you have to gift your co-host something on Amazon, $20 or cheaper.
Oh, that's a great one to get.
I've never received a gift. I've just given.
Me neither.
I've given Luke 2 and Zach 1.
Damn. So okay. So you're in the red on that one. That.
Yeah. Well, luckily it's a business card, so I don't have to come out of my pocket.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. I've been dreading this one. I have never gotten it.
Good.
Until now, and I don't. I don't want to do this because I cannot sing.
Oh.
And I have to do this. Sing the best you possibly can. The chorus of I Will Always Love You.
Perfect.
By Whitney Houston.
Do I need to play any music? Or are you going acapella?
No music. I
don't know. I think music
I also left my glass of water in the kitchen today, and I can't get up and go get it.
Oh, come on. I'm doing a live show with one vision in one eye. You can sing with a dry throat.
I can't sing with a not dry throat. All right.
Well, it sounds like you have to anyways.
Yeah, I'm just going to have to rip the Band-Aid off like you said and do this. All right. Luckily, the audience has gotten smaller. Okay. And I will always love you. And I will always love you. That's all I got.
That wasn't bad. I mean, you were conservative with your voice. You knew how high you could push it. It seemed like maybe you were a little too conservative. I'd like to see you reach for that note.
No, you can't reach. Whenever you reach, you get in trouble.
Yeah, well, I mean,
I don't have any. I'm tone deaf.
The first time around, you did really well. The second time, I didn't. I think it fell off a little. Yeah, but either way, I mean, all in all, when you sing on camera, the main goal is to not completely make an idiot out of yourself. I think you succeeded.
Bobby said 6 out of 10. I will take a 6 out of 10 there too. And there's always somebody who's like, "Oh my God, my dog is howling." If my dogs did not flinch, then I think I did okay. And Louis is right. Singing lessons from Luke. Luke can sing. I don't know if you've ever heard.
I know he can play the piano.
Luke's got pipes. Luke is like such an interesting person because I don't know.
He's a big theater guy.
Yeah, I know that, but I've never tried to learn how to sing, and I just don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I took choir in 7th grade, and I mean, it wasn't for me.
Josh asked, "Who's the best singer for A to Z?" It's got to be Luke. Absolutely.
I think Luke by default, by being the only one willing to sing.
Yeah, it's got to be Luke. There's no other option. Jerome says I stayed on pitch the whole time. Did I? I don't even know what that sound. I don't even know.
You did fine. You did fine. I'm not, nothing more than fine. I think is where I'll put you. It's going back to the report cards. You're not going to hang it on the fridge. Your mom's not going to go bragging to her friends about how well her son did. It's just you did it. You move on.
I just want to pass. That's all I did, and I did it. So it's over.
I like this comment from Orlando. Yeah, because Luke's 87 years old and collects CDs. He's not 87. He's not 87.
87-year-olds don't collect CDs. 87-year-olds have no idea what CDs are.
Oh man, I love Luke. Luke is so great. He's the oldest 21-year-old person I know.
Rudy says he would love to see Buck sing.
Or 22, however old he is.
Luke is 20. Yeah, 22. I don't know how. I don't think I've ever heard Buck try to sing, but
I can't imagine that's any good.
No, definitely not. All right.
I'm no good either though, so I can't.
Speaking of Buck's still in Egypt. He finally made it there after like 2 days of travel. And Luke will be wrapping up A to Z Sports Primetime this week tonight. So go check that out with A to Z Sports Primetime at 8 o'clock with Luke Worsham filling in for Buck this week. He's done a good job with that. So we'll see you guys. Jack and I will see you guys tomorrow morning on a Friday. Jack will be turtlenecked and ready to go.
Let's go.
We'll see if he accessorizes the turtleneck as well. And then we'll be talking some Titans maybe, and then some college football because we've got championship Saturday coming up and championship week as well. So we'll get you guys ready for the weekend tomorrow. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great rest of your Thursday. See you later.